This week, coming up from the ashes.
This one He-Man kind of went off the in a different universe, went off the chain, and he literally hopped universes and killed another He-Man and took the power from the Power Sword and put it into his. And he kept on doing that. Like he killed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of He-Man characters throughout the universe, and it was a comic book that was called Masters of the Multiverse, and it was so good. Like, oh, like if I was to choose one power sword to be the biggest, it was that one. But it's also probably like very evil because it turned him. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to From the Ashes podcast. I am your host, Phoenix, and today we are bringing to you a combination of all things media, basically. And this is going to be talking about the best sword in all the business, the best power sword. We're going to be going through a lot of different things, video games, movies, TV, anything you could think of. I mean, if we had to, we could probably break into comic books too. So that being said, my co-host for this journey is Arson. How you doing, bud?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that little cackle you heard was Zhombi, who was set up to host possibly today, but because of my boneheadedness, didn't happen. So I take fault for that. What's up, Zhombi?
Oh, a whole lot of nothing.
Whole lot of nothing. All right. Anyways, and also here is the returning, no longer guest, but a member, Grim. How you doing, bud?
Hello.
So,
I'm
guys,
doing good.
You're doing good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you sound a little bit better today. That's nice.
Yeah.
Did you clear your throat a little bit?
Yeah, no, I was blessed by the microphone fairy.
Sweet. So I heard a lot of people were blessed with the microphone fairy last night with Arson. As he,
Really
sang. Yes, I am.
Maybe take a photo too. It'll last longer.
Oh gosh, that'd be great. So he was out having the time of his life last night and sang some karaoke, man. Well, who would like? Hey, in the comments below, who would like to hear? Who would like to hear Arson sing? That would be great.
Turn everybody against me.
No, it's good. It's gonna be a brand new fan base. You're gonna have Simon coming after you, like, hey, this guy's good. Okay, that was
Who
horrible.
amongst you in the comments section would like Phoenix to permanently step down as host of From the Ashes podcast?
Sorry, this is a dictatorship. That doesn't matter.
Replace him with
Oh boy,
zombies.
my favorite.
Oh, so anyways, yeah, we got off track before we got on track, and that was Arson's fault. So anyways, today we are doing all things swords when it comes to the media, like I said, and I tell you, it's not like we're not ranking swords, but we will basically have our favorite sword at the end. I'm assuming that's how we're going to do things, but there's a lot of swords to cover. As I was doing research today, this week, I was looking at some of the swords throughout all of TV movies. There's some swords that I've never even known about because I didn't watch some shows or movies, and I thought that was really cool. And there's some swords I forgot about. Like there was like 2 or 3 swords from Lord of the Rings that really tickled my fancy and stuff like that. So, but since we got this topic solely from Zhombi, I want him to start off with one of his discussions of one of the swords of power.
Okay, so as I was telling Graham before everybody else got in here, this idea came from I saw a post on Facebook, and it was like all the characters wielding several of the most popular swords of power in a Knights of the Round Table style, all swords pointed up, points in the middle. I'm like, oh, that's a cool image, but two, that'd be a very cool topic for conversation. So I just have a few, and like you said, Phoenix, sir, I'm not ranking them. These are just several of the cool ones I could thought up at the time. So the first one I'm going to go into is Excalibur.
Oh, you come out swinging hard.
Oh yeah. So and yes, it's been in movies and comics, but it's also from mythology. So it kind of spans multiple, being such a legendary sword.
Right.
So from what I could find, is it wounds and kills in fair combat only. So that's good, but it's also bad. If you're not in a fair fight, it's not going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's durable. According to what I find, it's a symbol and protection, and a weapon of the fairies. As being Excalibur, it means you are worthy of being a king. And here's something I didn't know: the scabbard of Excalibur protects the wearer from bleeding to death in battle.
Huh, I didn't know that either.
So not only do you have a legendary weapon that is very deadly, it in battle, it doesn't matter if you get stabbed, you won't bleed out.
Huh. Well, that's pretty cool, actually. And also, the wielder of Excalibur has always been known as King Arthur.
Well, yeah, I would just put worthiness as a king.
Right. But yeah, that's a good sword. That really is. And also, let me just tell you, Zombie, is after you sent me that idea, I would say not even 10, 15 minutes later, I was scrolling through and I seen the same post. I was like, I know where he got that from.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, I mean, all you have to do is message it to me and it's going to pop up on, the Book of Faces and whatnot. So,
oh yeah.
Well, that's a good sword. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's got to be it's one of, if not the most famous sword of all time, right?
Correct.
Like, it's got to be.
Yeah.
It was also one of my picks, so.
Yeah, it was on mine too. But I've got a lot though. So, that's a good sword though. Good choice. It really came out swinging. That's like Grim said, the most famous sword probably ever. So all right, well, let's go with Grim next. Grim, what kind of sword can you bring to this topic?
Okay. This one's a little bit of a goofy pick, right? Aegislash from Pokemon. He is literally just a sword, and he's a strong Pokemon, so it's just a goofy pick. But I was like, hey, he's a powerful sword. It counts. But a serious one. The Great Sword of the Abyss from Dark Souls. It's the legendary sword of Artorias the Abyss Walker, who, if you haven't played Dark Souls, he was a very powerful warrior that was made to fight the literal embodiment of darkness, and tragically, he lost. And yeah, once you defeat him, you get his soul, and you can either create his sword or create his armor when you bring it to a special weaponsmith.
Huh.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Any thoughts on that? I've never played Dark Souls, so
I haven't either. So
Arson, any thoughts on that?
Would it be a bitch to carry?
I mean, yeah, but
You're just gonna have
It's
that
cool.
purely as something to hang up above the fireplace. There's no way you're gonna be able to use that in combat.
Pretty big sword then.
it is. It's made for like Artorias is like what, 10 feet tall, and it's like almost as tall as him. So yeah, it's
Oh,
like a
wow.
9-foot long sword, and he does front flips with it and decide. He's a very difficult fight. He can use it like it's a rapier.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
S-
but
that's pretty
it's cool.
interesting.
He's cool. Yeah.
Huh. Well, what about you, Arson? What's a pick for you?
I was gonna go with Excalibur. Uh, hmm. You know what? I'm still gonna go with it anyways, but I'm gonna go with a variation of it.
All
And
right.
this is from Sonic and the Black Knight, and
I
it is
know it.
Caliburn. Yeah, it's basically the exact same sword, but Caliburn is actually sentient.
Huh.
And he constantly shit talks Sonic throughout the game, calling him like a knave because he didn't think he was good with his sword.
That's hilarious.
I honestly think that would be a more fun pick for the blade because it would be sentient, so it could also
Yeah.
teach me. But yeah, Zombie already said everything else about the sword. It's just with Caliburn. Caliburn kind of comes in two stages where it's his first one where it's just Caliburn, and then when he's like upgraded, he turns into Excalibur. So I guess that's a neat little addition, I suppose.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've never played that Sonic game, so
People say it's the best when it comes to actually characterizing Sonic.
yeah.
So, but yeah,
What?
there we go. I still went with my Excalibur.
Well, I'll tell you what. Then I'm gonna come out swinging as well because I feel like, um, one of the best swords of power is the actual sword of power, and that's wielded by He-Man. Not to mention, so this is kind of like a double whammy because the sword of power and sword of protection come as a package deal. He-Man and She-Ra are the ones that wield that. The sword of power is absolutely a beast. Like you can't break it. I mean, it's wielded by the most powerful man in the universe. So, and just like the sword of power, the sword of protection is also a beast. But I feel like that sword edges out the sword of power, mainly because you know She-Ra can make a change into different things, like a shield or a lasso, or pretty much so many different things. And I think they did that because, of course, He-Man came first, and then so they were like trying to when they put She-Ra into production. I feel like that they wanted to make her sword a little bit different from the sword of power. So here comes the protection sword. So yeah, I feel like those two swords are very OP. But if I had to choose between one to be a little bit more OP, it'd have to be She-Ra's sword because of how it could change into different objects and whatnot. So,
So here'd be a question for you, Phoenix.
all right.
If you use that, would you turn into a woman?
I wouldn't
I suppose.
need that, but like,
I mean,
suppose.
if it's typically used by She-Ra, then
yeah, I don't know if I just
if
grab
you
it.
transform, would
Do
you
you-
turn? Would you stay a male?
I'd go.
Would you?
I'd be Hera. No.
I suppose you could say it's a double-edged sword, but
No, what's funny is when he said that I took it a different way, like I could transform the sword into a woman. Like, wait a minute, what?
No. I was saying you would transform into.
I completely misunderstood that. Like, I finally caught up to the conversation as you were explaining it a little bit different. But yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the sword that turns you into She-Ra. So I would say so. Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting. Like, oh my gosh, could you imagine turning into like just being a dude and just go turning into She-Ra and going to the bar and getting picked up, and next morning you wake up and you're out of your power and be like, hey, handsome. Ah!
Well, especially like if you don't know that's going to happen, like that
Right.
first transformation, you like think, oh, this is like the sword from He-Man. And, cool, I'll transform, and you transform. You're like, the hell is this?
This is not cool.
I'd just be more like, holy crap! I have so much. What happened to my hair?
Grim's like, I am not leaving the house. Let's go take a bet. No. Jeez. All right. Well, yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. But to be fair, I mean, like I would assume you would turn into She-Ra, but it'd be more. I don't know how that would work. Like, but anyways, anybody else's thoughts on that choice?
I mean, so I don't know a whole lot about, He-Man or She-Ra. I mean, I watched a little bit, as a kid. I watched more He-Man than I did She-Ra. But I have to say those are both very strong picks, and I didn't put them on my list because I knew they would be on yours.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I was like, I'm not even going to do it justice. I'm just going to gloss over it because I don't even have to worry about it being brought up.
Look, and for ones that don't know, Zombie's right, because I live and die He-Man. Like I've been collecting the Masters of the Universe toys for a long time, ever since they re-released them. Even before then, I've got stuff that predates it, like stuff from the 2000 series, and stuff from the original series. So it's I've got all this stuff, and remember, just I love He-Man. Like I grew up with it. Look, when it came out, I was like, what, 6 or 7 years old. So I was like, I lived the hype of He-Man. It came out like in 83.
You're at the right age for the target audience.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I feel like He-Man's power sword is just completely OP. Look, not to spend too much time on it, but so there is this entity of He-Man, and it's called the Anti-Eternia He-Man. And this He-Man, because He-Man gets all his power from the sword. That's literally how he transformed. It's from the powers of Grayskull, but it was forged, for that reason. And so this one He-Man kind of went off the in a different universe, went off the chain, and he literally hopped universes and killed another He-Man and took the power from the power sword and put it into his. And he kept on doing that. Like, he killed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of He-Man characters throughout the universe, and it was a comic book that was called Masters of the Multiverse, and it was so good. Like, if I was to choose one power sword to be the biggest, it was that one. But it's also probably very evil because it turned him. The wielder of the sword basically corrupts the sword, and so if you're not pure of heart, it's going to, absolutely turn evil. And the sword literally turned evil, and like it was so bad that He-Man turned straight, like the color black, like straight, like complete essence of good or whatever. It was just a thing. And he is my favorite version of He-Man because of just the way it is. Like he's so cool looking. If you guys want to know more about that, definitely look it up, because that storyline is one of the best. And I wish that they would make like an animated movie about that, because it brings back together all the He-Man characters from all of the different things, like the 90s He-Man, the 80s He-Man, the 2000s He-Man, the one from the movie, all of them all together in one comic book. And it was so cool. There's others too. There's also a Skeletor that actually never became Skeletor, but became He-Man. And like it's just so cool. Like, it's just a really good book. But anyways, before we had to change this episode to about all things He-Man, let's move on. But yeah, that was my choice, the Sword of Power and the Sword of Protection, for this round. So, all right, back to Bones.
Okay, so I'm going to do another big one. The Sword of Omens from Thundercats.
That was on my list.
And I knew some of what it could do, from watching the show, but it has a lot more abilities I never even heard of. So, obviously, it could be a dagger or a sword. So you could carry it around easily because it's as just a small dagger.
Right.
It's obviously very strong, very durable. and razor sharp, like all swords of power are. It can shoot energy blasts with varying abilities.
Yes.
It can cut through stone and metals.
Mm-hmm.
It can generate force fields. It can manipulate temperature, freeze targets in ice. The wearer can levitate and fly, and it can transport you from one location to another.
And it could give you sight beyond sight too.
I didn't mention it, but so, and here's another thing. If you have it, would you be able to summon the other Thundercats?
I think it's more like transport you to somewhere instead of somebody to you.
Well, no. But like this, it's like separate, like, because from what I was reading with the powers, like it transports Lino from one place to another at like a great climactic moment. So it's not like something you could do all the time.
Yeah.
But I was saying is that he typically uses it to let the other Thundercats know he needs them, and he calls them to his aid.
Right.
So if you have that, would you be able to summon them to your aid?
Oh, kind of like get the Thundercats, Thundercats, oh, and then have the thing go up in the air and summon them.
Yeah.
I think it takes a chosen one, because also the Sword of Omens will not work in the hands of evil at all.
Oh, correct.
Like that's one thing about the Sword of Omens that I love, because the whole thing is everybody trying to get the Sword of Omens from Lino, but like
doesn't work for him.
Right, the times that they actually did, it doesn't work for him, because like it does not work in the hands of evil. It'll shut down, and there's no way you could use it. So I guess it depends on your intentions. If you're worthy of it, kind of like Excalibur or whatever, I feel like you could. But I feel like you also have to be a direct line to the Thundercats to do it. So like a human like ourselves couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Did you watch the newer remake of it?
I loved the newer remake. I was so mad that they didn't go a second season.
I did too, because I think, especially at the beginning, it made it seem that this wasn't just a sword that he just knew how to use.
Yeah.
This is something that he really struggled with in learning how to use.
Yeah. I love
and I really like that aspect of it. That makes it's not just a sword that you instantly know how to use.
Right.
This is a very powerful item.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of skill and willpower to use properly.
See, I loved in that cartoon because it had the original voice of Lino was his dad. And of course, Will Friedle was the voice of Lino, which Will Friedle, I really like. He's got such a good voice. I mean, if you guys don't know who that is, he was in Boy Meets World, the older brother. But for us nerds, he played Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond. So like, and so many other things. Like he's been in so much. He was in Kim Possible. He was the sidekick or whatever. But anyways, before I get too far off again, we're nerding out with this stuff right now, so I can't help it. But yeah, so I really liked that cartoon, and they had it really end on such a horrible freaking like cliffhanger, and I did not like that. And I don't count that newer that Thundercats Go bullcrap. Like that was a horrible show. That was
I remember seeing like advertisements for it, and I was like, wow, they really just kind of made the Steven Universe art style in Thundercats and gave it Teen Titans Go humor.
Right. I was like, that's literally like a Teen Titans Go show, and I was like, no, please no. Don't do that to my childhood. They did that to my childhood. So I would love to see them come out with something a little bit more dramatic and actually, like, I would love to see them come out with the second season of that Thundercats. It was so good. The first one was great. But it was, a lot of them had basic storylines that would wrap up in one episode. And I really, really don't mind episodic stuff. But I love story driven shows, and that whole season was story driven. Like
Mhm.
it literally, and that's just like the remake of He-Man of in the 2000s. You know, that was a story driven, you know, they had some episodic stuff in there, but it was story driven. And I really like that stuff. You know, you grow when you know, as you get older, and you know, that's what I like. But yeah, dude, Sword of Omens was on my list. It was going to be the next thing I talked about if no one else did. So I'm glad you did pick it up. Now I can move on to one of my other 15,000 swords that I have picked. We'll be here for a while, guys. No, I'm just kidding. All right, has anybody else got an idea of Sword of Omens besides us two? I know we kind of like dominated that for a second. So
I was gonna say, I remember watching the '80s series when I was like younger, but I can't remember anything about the sword specifically.
well, I loved it when the sword was like a dagger type. The eye was closed.
Mhm.
And then whenever it transformed into the actual like sword, like it had the Thundercats emblem on the sword. So it was like differentiated the two anyways. So it was like it was asleep until Lino woke it up. So I love that about it too. What about you, Arson?
Yeah, I know nothing about it. I do remember slightly watching a bit, but I never actually finished an episode, so I
Well,
wouldn't know much about it either.
they did a death match between Lino and He-Man, by the way.
Yep, I
So
remember that one.
so yeah, it was interesting. Well, okay, so before the episode started, we were talking deathmatch because apparently there's a new deathmatch coming out here soon, and it's gonna be Bowser versus Dr. Robotnik. And so the first thing I thought of when you guys said that was that match I just said. Like they've had some. I've spent hours watching that stuff. So, but yeah. But all right, well, Zombie, that was a good pick, man. That was a real good pick. What about you, Grim? What's next?
Um, Soul Edge from Soul Calibur's kind of neat. Kind of like how you were talking with like the evil He-Man thing,
Uh-huh.
except the sword itself is just evil. But it's a pretty cool trade-off because you turn into Nightmare, who looks way cool. Nightmare looks so freaking cool, and the sword itself just looks sick. But my proper pick, kind of cheating because I'm going back to FromSoft, and this is through all the FromSoft games, not just Dark Souls. The Holy Moonlight Sword.
Mm.
Um, it's a giant greatsword that's powered by the moon, and like sometimes it's like a greenish blue, sometimes it's like a really dark blue. But the one from Bloodborne is where it plays like a really big like story role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it has this cool mechanic where it turns into a normal longsword when you depower it, and then when you power it up, it becomes infused with the power of the moon and becomes a great sword.
Huh.
So that's cool.
That's just not a good sword, but it's a great sword.
It is a great sword.
Huh. Well, that's interesting because, you know, as I was doing some research, I came across this list on GameSpot, and that's listed as the number 3 sword of all time in games.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. You'll never guess what the number 1 is, and I'll let you know that later. Because it's also on my board for picks. So all right, well that's a good one. What about anybody else? They got any thing to say about the Soul Edge?
No.
Nope,
No.
not really. I mean,
Well, moving right along then. Arson, back to you, buddy.
I was also gonna say the Moonlight Sword,
Haha.
Well,
and it's just a terrible episode, man.
everybody's just taking your stuff. Well, you know what? I'll tell
What do
you
you want
what.
me to do? What do you want me to do, Phoenix?
I'll tell you what.
I will go with the spatula from SpongeBob. You know the shit that he does with it.
I don't think that's
I'm just
considered
fucking
a
with you.
sword, but yeah, sure.
What about a Keyblade then?
There we go. Now you just stole one of mine. The
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Keyblade.
steal it. I'm not gonna steal it either. That was an idea I had, but I don't know too much about it to actually, just take it from you, so I'm not gonna do that.
No. That's fine. You
I'm
can bring it
gonna.
up.
Well, I'm gonna bring it up, but it's not my pick. Uh, a lightsaber.
There we go. That was another one that I had on there somewhere. Lightsaber. That's pretty much through all of games, all of movie and TV, minus one horrible Star Wars TV show.
We'll talk about that. Anyways, if I had to pick one, I think I'd just pick the base variation. I don't need any double-edged, unstable sword prototype, or just a dark saber. I don't know the whole deal with what that was, but I'm just give me a classic lightsaber.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But what color?
Interesting question. I want to say I want to say purple.
All right, Mace.
to honor my boy Samuel Jackson, but it's interesting because I don't really know what color I'd like. I like that RGB crystal. Just turn it into whatever color I feel like, but
it just changes colors during battle. You hit the little remote on it, like blink.
Yeah.
That's
oh
funny.
yeah, just turn it pink mid battle.
It's a bipolar force user. Every swing, he feels like a Sith, and then the next one he feels like a Jedi.
It just changes. I mean, what can you say about the lightsaber? It can pretty much melt through any other of those swords that we talked about. Like, unless there's a lot of power to them that won't allow it to cut through it. But a lightsaber cuts through dang near anything. You know,
pretty much. There's like very few in Star Wars that a lightsaber can't cut through.
Right.
I don't like the sword the lightsaber is already good on its own, but like I'm just wondering if because obviously when people in the universe use lightsabers, a lot of them assume that they have force powers. But I would just be a guy with a lightsaber, unless I am force sensitive, then whatever. But I just want cool sword.
Yeah.
Cool lightsaber. RGB lightsaber.
My luck, I would accidentally turn it on and cut my leg off or something. Like
you're holding it the wrong way. Accidentally slices off his whole foot.
What was it in Rick and Morty? They dropped it down into the middle of the earth or something like that. What was
they
it?
They dropped it perfectly vertical, so it just fell all the way down. And the president, who was voiced by Keith David, perfectly fucking vertical. He had a lightsaber minigun. A minigun that shot lightsabers. It was so stupid. He had droids that had lightsabers for eyes.
It was so that's one of the most memorable ones I watched. It was just they had to figure out how to get that lightsaber back from going into the middle of the earth. So funny.
And Rick made another lightsaber to counteract the lights, but then the lightsaber grew sentient, and then it went to France or something to kill people.
Yeah. Oh, Rick.
I think the president also said, "Oh, we could blame this on another country, and we'll tell them that they did it. They did it. They did do it."
But yeah, look, a lightsaber is a really good pick. I know I said it just before, but it's talk about OP, man, and so elegant. What kind of blade actually thinks about your well-being enough to carter off the wounds? As you get something cut off of you, oh, here, let me cauterize the wound for you. There you go.
Yeah,
it's
so
thoughtful. Generous for when I slice my own arm off, but
yeah. Hey, no bleeding. Way, that's cool.
I guess since we're on that topic, I guess I'll just get my little side mention out of the way. I was also going to say an energy sword from Halo.
That was also on my list.
Oh,
yeah. No, it's mine. No,
the better lightsaber.
Yeah, it's just really cool. I think Honestly, I feel like I'd have a more easier time using an energy sword than a lightsaber, because it's literally like something you can hold with like one hand.
Oh, you talking about that game that's like really overrated? Oh yeah, I know which one you're
All
talking
right. Okay. All right. Uh huh.
about.
No going
Man,
Calm down
backwards
there,
in
mister.
time now.
I wonder why no one's mentioned the Master Sword yet.
Well, I'm waiting. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
Nobody's gonna go with that.
I'm waiting. Hey,
I'm sorry, but after everything we've stated so far, I don't know. I feel like we need to go with more out there picks. Like, yes, the dildo sword.
I mean, to be fair, look, with the Master Sword, it is iconic, and it is like, a big piece. Oh, you hush. It's a big part of like video game history, so it does deserve a place up there. But
It does. It does.
it would never stand a chance against some of the swords we've mentioned. I'm sorry, Link. I love you, but I just know, like, I don't know. Maybe it
fine.
is.
If,
Hey, hold on. This could be on Zombie's list, so we don't know yet. So, let's move on about it. We'll come back to it if it is. Oh, it's not.
That's
Well, we're
fine.
good.
If Link gets a lucky shot on the opponent, then he can just steal their sword and use the cooler sword instead.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Link
Well,
would be skillful enough.
Yeah. Well,
Link with a lightsaber.
jeez, that's whatever happened if Disney bought Nintendo.
Immediately start
Essentially.
Star Wars crossovers.
Oh gosh, jeez, that'd be horrible. Please don't do that, Nintendo. Don't sell. don't
I
sell
think
to them.
Nintendo has more money than Disney.
Maybe
It'd be the other way around. Nintendo buys Disney.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they saved
that's
everybody.
possible because, yeah, I mean, because
Nintendo World.
Jeez.
Pokemon alone is just it is the most successful franchise of all time, which is crazy. But yeah,
Well,
Anyway.
but yeah, that's a we got off topic. That's kind of weird. We never go off topic. That's so strange.
how unheard of.
Yeah. So, what? Anybody else got anything to add on to Arson's pick of a lightsaber?
I mean, it's just a cool sword. That's really it. Like the double edged one is cool, but honestly, I'm with Assassin. Just give me a normal one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
Fuckers can't threaten me either. All I have to do is just say I'll drop my sword perfectly vertical. And what are you guys gonna do? You can't do anything about it. No fancy moonlight tricks, no bleeding out in battle. What's it gonna matter when the earth implodes, tough guy, huh?
What about a magnet though? Wouldn't that?
Would it work? You
It
gotta
had
get
to
a
be
big
really
fucking magnet,
strong magnet.
and then you're gonna have to risk fucking with the tectonic plates.
Oof. Yeah,
They'll be
exactly.
fine. They've been there for how many years?
It's a lose-lose situation, Grim. Just admit it. This ain't an all-win situation.
Oh man.
Look,
So
this is your fault that you dropped the sword.
You may kill me, but I'll get the last laugh. Hell,
All right.
it would have been your own fault if you just stabbed me and I just drop it.
except I think that you're required to keep a finger on a button to keep it activated.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for
Well,
the
even
actual lightsabers.
Even
We're
if
going
you
for
drop it,
we're going for a modified one because I already said my RGB lightsaber.
oh, that's true.
Oh yeah, you're just gonna upgrade it like a PC.
Yeah, there are like lots of modifications that have been made to lightsabers. I like having it just so you wouldn't have have your finger on the button so it's on is definitely some change that can be made.
Oh yeah.
Can be, but I think it's more of like a safety regulation thing.
It's called
Oh.
tape. Like,
I'm not I'm not in the Sith or the Jedi, so jurisdiction be damned.
they just tape the sword up like, it's on now, ever.
Nothing Flex Seal can't stop me from doing.
But then you can't. But then you can't do the most frowned upon tactic in all of Star Wars, where when you swing, you turn off your lightsaber and then turn it on so you stab them.
Nah, I'm the type of guy who just follows through with his attacks. I don't have time to feint, which is probably why I died so much in For Honor.
Yeah, same.
He's all about chaos. So, oh man, it's a
There's another slight deviation then.
A little bit, a little bit.
all right. So, if nothing else is to be said, I am going to say something that I'm going to stick with the cartoon route, because there was a cartoon back in the like early 80s called Thundar the Barbarian,
Yes.
and the Sun Sword is one that is on my list because it was literally like a hilt with fiery like it was just a beautiful looking sword. And this thing was how you gonna defeat a sword that's like made of fire? Maybe some water, like throw water on it. No, but it burnt too hot. But this thing, like, it activated kind of like it was kind of like, I would say, a lightsaber in a way, because I think he had to activate it. It just didn't stay lit. It just, he turned it on and stuff. But the Sun Sword, so the cartoon was set up in a post-apocalyptic a post-apocalyptic world, and it's basically in the future, and like it was set up to have like it was basically Thundar and his two cohorts. I can't think of their names right now. But yeah, it was basically just a hilt that could project the sword made of light, basically. Yeah, I know it's similar to a lightsaber, but it bugged out further, like it was like a huge flame. It was so beautiful. But yeah, I don't have much to say about that. I just kind of wanted to throw that in there because it is an iconic part of my childhood. Granted, the series only lasted like one season, but like, I mean, this show was basically influenced the likes of like Conan the Barbarian, Planet of the Apes, and Star Wars, and all kinds of other things. Like, it had Jack Kirby had his hands on it. And if you guys don't know who Jack Kirby is, you need to do some research. And then it had like different things. I think it has ties to Dungeons and Dragons, or I think it was brought into Dungeons and Dragons from the show. I think I can't quote that, and I don't want to get all my D&D listeners up in an uproar, including Zhombi. So, Zhombi, can you shed any light on this?
On what? Sorry, I was distracted by something for a second.
No, I was just saying that I'm pretty sure the Sun Sword found its way into Dungeons and Dragons.
So that type of weapon, along with like the Sun Sword and the lightsaber, is so I don't know about in the modern editions, but there was a magical sword. It was a ability you could give a sword called Brilliant Energy, and basically anything non-organic, it would just go right. Didn't matter. It would it would cut as it like you were in the toughest plate mail. It doesn't matter. It's not there.
Yeah.
For purposes of this weapon, anything non-organic doesn't even exist. It can just go right through.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, they for legal purpose they couldn't call it a sun sword or a lightsaber,
Right.
but they could do something equivalent to it.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. I mean, like I said, like the Sun, I can't remember if it went 1 or 2 seasons. I can't remember. But anyways, Thundar the Barbarian was a great show. I loved it. It was just I don't know. They said they ended it, like, to be fair, a lot of cartoons made their demise because of sales of merchandise. Like, if their sales weren't up, then they canceled the show, which is weird.
Yeah.
That's what happened to He-Man. That's what happened to a lot of them. Because if you're that's another thing that happened to the Thundercats remake, is because of the toy sales and stuff. That's what happens when a toy you know, company owns rights to certain things and stuff like that, they could pull that. So, but unfortunately, we lost too many shows. Oh, so, too soon. But yeah, so that's my next pick was the Sun Sword. Which brings Zombie.
So I'm going to break the trend of that and go with a movie, Endurial. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, from Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that name
It's
because
like the
I don't speak
Enderil or
Elvish.
whatever.
I don't speak Elvish, so
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but I mean, you have the usual, abilities like it's unbreakable, enchanted strength, can cut through many foes. Um, but what I like about it is it's really the sort of a leader. Because I was looking at it and it said, it can boost the morale of allies, and it's a rallying cry for the forces of good. Like just the sight of it, you
Yeah.
know, can make all the allies and everyone's like, oh yeah, well let's go. I mean, there wasn't too many like wild, weird abilities like that because you're not talking about like Thundercats or He-Man or something like that, but
Mm-hmm.
a more strict fantasy setting. So, but it is one of the more iconic weapons in fantasy you know, is that sword.
Yeah. I'd say that Sting and the Glamdring,
Mm-hmm.
those are the top three in that movie franchise that I feel like they're the top. But yeah, that one's really high up there. But Glamdring is the one that I think uh why am I Gandalf, he wielded it.
Yeah.
So but you've got all these other swords, and the one that you mentioned was one of the biggest, is that the one that was reforged?
Yes.
Yes, Aragon is the one that reformed it. So
Well, he
yeah.
wielded it. He didn't
He,
reform it.
oh well, no, he wielded it. Yeah. That's what I meant. Sorry. But yeah. So that, and then of course Sting was a wrestler. No, I'm kidding. It was actually given to to Bilbo Baggins, and then given to Frodo. Uh, and so yeah, those three swords are the ones, like when I was talking earlier about the Lord of the Rings, that's the ones that actually came to mind. I'm sure there's a lot of other ones in there,
Oh yeah.
but those three right there are the top of the list for that, and yours is the tip top because it was wielded by the king.
Mhm.
So I'm just saying. But yeah, that's a really good pick. Anything else you got to say about it?
Nope.
Nope. What
Nope.
about you guys? Nope.
Nope.
Well, we're going to throw a nice little wrench in everything, and I'm going to have Arson go next just so he can one up Grim if he can. He seems a little not there. Are you okay, buddy?
He's practicing his karaoke skills.
He's on mute.
He is tragically passed out.
No.
Welcome back.
Well,
So
I am thinking.
you're thinking, okay.
I don't know why my brain farted. I swear I had another one ready.
Do you want me to come back then?
No, I got this.
All right.
Fuck.
That's a
I'm sorry.
sword?
Yeah.
I'm sure somewhere it is.
It's the word fuck attached to a hilt, and every letter is carved perfectly, so it's sharp as a blade.
Interesting.
But okay.
the word sword.
Let me bring it back. Uh Why brain not working? This is awkward.
All right. Well, how about this? We'll move on to Graham and come back. Gather your thoughts.
Alright.
And I tried to get you to one up him, but I one upped you apparently. Not meaning
Sorry,
to.
it's kind of hard when like two of my swords were, kind of already mentioned
Stolen,
before I mentioned them.
ganked them from you. Yep. All right, Graham, you're up, buddy.
I'm surprised that Assassin didn't think of this one. The Sword of Olympus from God of War.
I was gonna say that, but honestly, I didn't really like it that much.
All right, never mind. Throwing that one out the window. Okay, my actual pick.
Don't they have
Fight me,
the
huh?
blades of chaos too?
They're cleavers. They're
Huh?
not really swords.
Hmm.
It's kind of like saying,
Yeah,
I'll just go with the Magnum Hollow blades from Monster Hunter. They're not
Alright,
really
calm down.
swords. They're not really swords. They're just blades.
All right.
My
continue.
actual pick is the Star Saber from Transformers, not the hit character Star Saber, but the Blade Star Saber, which basically, there's the Star Saber and then there's the Dark Star Saber. The Star Saber can only be wielded by those of a pure, technically heart, but because it's Transformers, they say spark, right? Can only be wielded by a prime with a true spark, and then the Dark Star Saber was literally just made to beat the Star Saber. I think it broke the Star Saber, but then the Star Saber got repaired, and then it broke the Dark Star Saber. So I don't know. It's just a cool looking sword, and it's from Transformers. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It kind of glows blue, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it cut
Yeah.
through a mountain, so that's just cool.
Well, I mean, you got to realize it's got to be a pretty big sword, anyways, for a Transformer to wield it.
Yeah.
But it's not big enough to cut a mountain. But I guess, hey.
Well, it shot in an energy wave.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So it just took me a minute because I believe that sword was designed by the same person that did the Matrix of Leadership. So I think I'd have to go back and look.
Primus made the Matrix of Leadership, but Solus Prime made the Star Saber.
Okay, maybe then I was wrong.
It's fine. Transformers lore is confusing anyway, so.
Yeah, it's an overrated shit. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. No, I'm leaving. Goodbye.
I'm kidding. I can't say that because I've been watching through ever since I watched the Transformers 1 movie. I started from the beginning watching through the old school Transformers and and stuff like that. So I'm getting back into that. But yeah, that's a good choice. I mean, I know what it is, so as long as I know what it is, I guess it's a good choice for me.
Yeah.
The others the Soul Edge, I didn't really know what that was because I've no Soul Calibur. I've played it, a little bit, but it's just everything else. All right, well, if anybody has anything to say about that, speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm going to hold my peace.
In my
Nice.
hands.
You're gonna hold your peace in your hands. That's
Yep.
Interesting. All right. Well, I guess he's got the touch. He's got
And the power.
All right. Anyways, Arson, you're up. Still didn't think of one.
I mean, I could just fuck myself over and go with the grass blade from Adventure Time.
I was wondering if somebody was actually going to bring that up. I was hoping not.
Adventure Time has had quite a host of swords throughout its seasons, but honestly, the grass blade stuck out the most because it had the most story prevalence, made an interesting character in Fern, and is honestly just a really cool fucking sword.
It's a grass blade.
I mean, without the curse, I would love this blade. Just having it on your wrist, and then when it's go time, you flick it onto your hand, and I love the noise that it makes when it flicks onto your hand. It's just really cool. It's just who
See,
you're gonna die. You're gonna die to a blade made of grass. That thing cuts, man.
when I started doing research and stuff, and I was searching like for like swords and cartoons and whatnot, that one popped up, and I was like, "What the heck?" I've never seen Adventure Time, so I wouldn't know.
There's a good reason why. It is such a fascinating sword. It's definitely my favorite of Finn's swords. I think my second favorite was like uh his demon blade that his dad made for him. But yeah, if I honestly had to go with one, it'd be the grass sword. Hopefully without the curse, but at this point I'm just getting fucked over.
Yeah,
Um, because it's not just a sword, it also doubles as like a whip. If the situation is desperate enough, it'll like expand and turn into like a big ass whip. I think that's only when it connected with his body though.
yeah.
Like that's how it is. It's kind of like a twisted symbiotic relationship. But yeah, if I had to go with one, it'd be the grass sword. It just is really inconspicuous,
Interesting.
and it's a sword made of grass. Why you got a grass? Is that a blade of grass around your arm? What is that? It's my
Next thing you know,
sword.
the dude's chopped in half.
Yeah, it's really accurate too. It doesn't like when it takes over, it cuts things in the shape of Finn's head.
Mm.
This is pretty cool. But yeah, there we go. There's mine, I guess.
Well. All right. Well, you know what? I am going
I would have went
to.
with the Moby Huge, but whatever.
Well, since you did that, I am going to go into the video game aspect now, and I am going to go with not just one but multiple. I'm going to just call them the Final Fantasy swords. Because Final Fantasy swords, look, they had a lot of big swords in that game. Excalibur was in that, but also you got an upgrade. It was in 9, I think. There was an upgrade you could do to make it an Excalibur 2. They had the Mithril sword. They had what is it called? Masamune, I think it's how you pronounce it. Ragnarok.
Masamune? Is that what it was?
Masamune, yeah, maybe that's what it is. I always called it the Masamune, but I'm sure I mispronounced it. But you can even throw with the Final Fantasy lore the Keyblade in there as well, because I mean that is a Square Enix game or Square Soft Square, whatever you want to call it. It's all the
Sora
same.
did fight Sephiroth.
Yes. So and Sephiroth's blade, that's another one. But let's go with the one to rule them all, and that is the Buster Sword wielded by Cloud, like in Final Fantasy VII. That I mean, come on, that sword right there, like you could put materia in it and make it stronger. Like it's a really powerful sword. And to me, I think it would basically beat out, most swords in Final Fantasy for sure. Um, but it's really the Buster Sword is like a symbolic, is very symbolic of the Final Fantasy franchise. Like, you know what I mean? I love it. For the ones out there that need to know what the Buster Sword is, then you are definitely not listening to the right podcast, because we've talked about this so many times and
Mm.
whatnot. They've even got a gun blade and in Final Fantasy VIII. Like it's pretty cool, but still, I got to go with the Buster Sword. Buster Sword is top notch. It's awesome. It's Cloud sword. Uh, what else can be said? Talk about a
Yeah.
big blade to carry. that
Mhm.
that thing is also extremely big. I don't know how Cloud wields it, because it is like bigger than him. So,
He's got that main character strength.
Yep, that's true. That's very true. But you've got all these other swords that are a part of Final Fantasy lore, and I can't go through all of them, but like the one that will always stand like true is the Buster Sword to me. That to me that's above the Keyblade. Granted, okay, the Keyblade is a sword, but it also can open up doors. The Buster Sword can just knock the door down. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I actually I wasn't gonna necessarily have it be one of my picks, but it was gonna be like an honorable mention. Just the Buster Sword, because I didn't know any other name of any other sword in Final Fantasy, but the Buster Sword is like the one sword I know from Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and if you don't know much about Final Fantasy, most people that are gamers do know the Buster Sword.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's just a cool looking thing. It really is. It's just really cool.
Very impractical for when trying to go through doorways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't turn it sideways. Straight up and down.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to go. Or long ways.
Just shrink it with your shrink ray,
Yeah.
and then resize it once you're through the door.
That's right. That's right. That'd be the way to go. But yeah, that's my choice. Let's go around one more time, and then we'll do give your guys' honorable mentions if you have any. And so we can start winding down and everything, and we will start again in order with Zhombi. Give us some honorable mentions and then your final pick.
Okay. So I have 3 honorable mentions. And 2 of them I thought up as we were doing this. So one, let's see if anybody gets the Blade of Primus. Phoenix, do you know what that's from?
Man, it's so familiar.
It's not Transformers.
No, hold on. Is it what? Hold on.
It's an 80s cartoon.
Yes, Voltron.
No.
No, then what is it?
No. Pirates of Dark Water.
Oh my gosh, I do love that show.
I couldn't find out anything about it other than what it's from.
Yeah.
The next one is the Shadow Sword from Stonekeep.
Okay.
It can turn into any melee weapon.
So is it really a sword? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, it starts out as a sword. So,
Okay.
And the last one is the Dragon Dagger from Power Rangers.
Aha.
Is that the one that whistles?
Yes.
What about the Red
I was
Ranger
thinking
sword?
about that.
Well, I was thinking, the Dragon Dagger, you could summon a dragon sword.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have the powers of the Green Ranger, which if you did, that'd be cool, but whatever.
Yeah.
But if I had to make a final pick, it'd probably be, assuming I was worthy, the Sword of Omens.
Yeah.
Again, assuming I was worthy.
I'd just be like to be able to give me sight beyond sight. That'd be,
Oh yeah.
like, what's going on?
Over there.
Yeah. As long as it's not too far into the future. Oh, so you don't have any other newer swords? I mean, I know your final pick and all, but that's what you got right now. So
I mean, those are my 3 honorable mentions and my pick. So
okay. All right. Well, some good ones. All right, Grim, you're next.
So I've only got I really only have one honorable mention now that I think about it. The Rathalos greatsword from Monster Hunter. It's the staple of Monster Hunter. I mean, it's all you can really do. If I had to pick, most of my swords you can't even wield. So, if I were to have one that I could wield, it would be Aegislash from Pokemon. But problem with that is that if I touch the hilt, I die. But I get a floating sword friend, so that's cool.
No,
Yeah. uh, all the other swords are either tied to, unspeakable evils like Soul Edge or Notorious's Great Sword of the Abyss, or they're just wielded by giant people like the Star Saber and the Holy Moonlight Sword. So yeah, I don't know. That's my pick, Age of Slash.
All right. So what's your final pick then? Is that your final pick?
Yes.
Oh wow. All right. All right, Arson. What about you, bud?
I literally have nothing.
Why don't you go ahead and take the one that I was saying? Let's go ahead and go.
I'm not gonna take a Keyblade.
Well, fine.
A Claymore.
A Claymore.
That's it.
Just a fucking Claymore. I mean, at the end of the day, who just doesn't want a normal big ass hunk of iron?
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
I just want a Claymore. Hang it over the fireplace. There. I have look take a look at all my fictional swords, like got one there. Got one on my wrist. But look at this sword right here. This is pure craftsmanship.
Yeah.
One big sword. Pure iron. Nothing to it. Tried and true. Go fuck yourself. Or I'll shank you with my grass blade. I could use the grass blade in tandem with the claymore.
Oof, that'd be rough.
My genius is almost scary. I mean, I could turn it into a whip, and then I can, curl it around the claymore and just start swinging it around like a madman.
Yeah.
I'm just too smart, man. But honestly, no, seriously, if I were to have a weapon in real life, it would just be a huge claymore. Because I want to know the absolute steroids that the people back then were on to just
to actually wield it. Yeah. Jeez.
I know there's this part of the inspiration I got from this was for Highlander from For Honor, and he's just this mountain of a man who just. I love the way he speaks too. He's like, I think he speaks in Celtic tongue or something. But it's awesome. And out of all the swords in real life that I would want to just have, it'd be a Claymore. I think they're just really cool swords.
All right. Well, with that being said, I guess that leaves me. Now I've got a few honorable mentions. I'm going to take a couple since Arson just went Claymore. I'm going to say the 2 McLeod swords from Highlander. Because they're freaking awesome. I mean, come on. Those swords are just amazing. Connor McLeod was the man, and he had a very tearful ending, even though it was to his cousin. And I just can't forgive him for that. But anyways, so I'm going to mention those 2 as one. I'm also going to say the dragon sword from Double Dragon, because it was basically a 2-in-1 type of sword, and I feel like that's a really big one. Also, I'm going to mention because granted we're talking power swords, but we're also talking. I mean, we've talked more than just power swords, to be honest. So I'm going to say from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Leonardo's 2 katanas. I think. Because they are extremely dangerous in his hands. I think he deserves to be on the list for that. Also, I am going to say if it wasn't said before, which it was because I'm the one that said it, the Master Sword is also one that needs to be on this list because of its iconic role in Legend of Zelda. And then finally, I have a bunch more I can mention. But I'm shortening this majorly. And finally, the last one I want to talk about is the Keyblade. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit, but it's what can be said about the Keyblade that's not already been. I mean, it literally has two. It's a 2-function sword. It delivers massive damage. And as a bonus, it opens up different worlds in the world of Disney. So, and it takes a lot to wield that. There's only so many Keyblade wielders in that universe, and Sora is probably the best out of all of them. I mean, to be fair, Mickey Mouse is also a Keyblade wielder, but of course, Disney is his world, and everybody's just living in it. So King Mickey gets his blade. Now that being said, the out of all of the other swords that were talked about, and I just got to go with the power sword mainly, because let's just say, granted, it can be corrupted, but in the hands of righteous people, that thing is it. Look, it delivers the most powerful man or woman in the universe. Like it's right there. He-Man. They did I'm pretty sure they did a death battle with He-Man and Superman too, and He-Man won because of
Did they do that? Grim
I'm pretty
fact
sure.
check that?
I'm pretty sure.
Wait,
I don't
hold on,
think.
what?
I don't think Keyman won that.
No, because look, what's one of Superman's weaknesses?
Kryptonite.
Kryptonite.
Magic.
It's not a weakness.
He has resistance to that now.
people-
It's not necessarily a weakness. It just affects
People
him the same way
always-
it would affect
people-
everyone else.
Yeah, people always say, "Well, magic. Your Superman's weak to that." No, it just means he's vulnerable to it. It doesn't mean he's gonna fold over like Kryptonite.
You can fact check it, but I'm pretty sure they did it, and He-Man won.
Grim
I
fact
think.
check that.
But-
Fact check if they had a He-Man versus Superman death battle.
It's
They
pretty
didn't
sure
have a
did.
death battle, but they had a crossover, like an actual crossover.
No, they did have crossovers, and like multiple ones actually. They had one back in the '80s, and then they had a big old storyline that was done a few years ago. It was the Master of the Universe and the Justice League. But I was pretty sure they had a death battle. I guess not. I don't know. Did I
They
imagine it?
did. According to this,
They did.
He-Man versus Superman.
And who won?
I don't know. I'm trying to find it. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but I can't find like the actual video. I just see a lot of like analysis and.
Yeah, I was
So-
pretty sure they did, because Chad and I we talked about it. Because they also had a Goku versus Superman, right? I think.
Yeah. That's the only one Superman has been in, is Goku versus Superman. Because
No.
there's the Death Battle wiki, which is like at doing the analysis and like having the actual thing. But in terms of like the actual Death Battle channel, like the Death Battle channel, Superman's only ever fought Goku.
I've watched the one with He-Man. I'm just saying, and it was a death battle. It was with the guys with the voices and all that. Well, the one guy that does all the voices apparently, or did. But anyways, well, that's for another time. I'm not dragging this out anymore. We're already over our time. But I'm still gonna go with the power sword. The power sword is like I said, it produces the most powerful man in the universe, and no one can tell me that Superman could beat like He-Man. Just not gonna happen. Like, I'm just saying, and that goes for. I mean, to be fair, they made Goku completely over OP, but I wonder who would win that battle. It'd be interesting.
It would be Superman.
It's Superman.
No, what, Superman and Goku?
Yeah, no, it's just Superman.
Superman, they had like 3 separate death battles.
And he won all of them.
Yeah, and Superman won every single one.
Against Goku, really?
Yeah. And like the newest one included Ultra Instinct, all the stuff from like the most recent manga, the Moro arc, all that stuff. Yeah, no. Superman just wins. He is the win character.
Superman is the biggest. Never mind. Anyways,
Unless it comes down.
The biggest cheapskate is Hulk.
nah.
Unless it
Yes.
comes down to writing to make the story more interesting, like Superman just wins every time.
Do you realize how powerful
The Super
Superman
Sword.
was before
I
they
think this is
introduced?
a topic for another podcast.
That's true. So
It
let's.
doesn't matter because the end result is the same. We're just gonna have to talk about different heroes aside from Superman because Superman is the hero.
Superman's a little bitch. All right.
No, Hulk is.
All right, whatever you say, Lex Luthor.
How's that kryptonite factory coming?
Anyway, Spawn would defeat Superman pretty easy. So,
Well, okay, but that's Spawn,
Anyway.
so-
all right, we're getting way off topic. But
Again,
anyways, so that is my choice. The Master Sword, or the Power Sword is my choice. It is the the be all of every sword for me, and my choice. So I think if there's any of them I could choose to wield, it'd be that one. But I'd probably corrupt it. So, but that being said, I want to thank you guys for being here, and it looks like we've got a birth of another podcast coming. It's going to be interesting and a lot of arguments in there. But anyways, until then, I enjoyed this conversation with you guys. I appreciate Zhombi for pitching it to us, even if it wasn't his original idea. It's still an awesome idea, and I'm glad that you chose that to share with us. But if you guys want to know more about our little humble podcast, there is a Linktree link in the description below. Just click that thing for all things from the ashes, and that's pretty much it, guys. You got anything else to say before we close up shop?
never drop your saber straight down.
Don't let the grass demon in your wrist possess you.
Yes.